Welcome, superstar. Are you ready to plan your best year ever? Well, in this video, we're going to start on that journey with part one of a three-part series. Before we start planning our best year ever, we first need to take a moment to pause and receive the gifts of our current year. That's why every best year ever planning process needs to start with extracting the fruits of the current year. Planning in advance for your best year ever is great because it helps to give you clarity, focus, excitement, and build energy towards what's next in your business and in your life. But before we do that, we've got to become present to where we are right now. We can't really get to where we want to go if we're not clear about where we are and what worked or didn't work about the current year. So this starts with a little process that I like to call harvesting the bounty. Harvesting the bounty starts with step one, which is celebrating the wins from the past year. So if you're now getting ready to plan your best year ever, start by tapping in, checking in, and perhaps writing down what were your big wins over the past year? What are some of the big accomplishments you made? And perhaps it's sometimes going to be kind of hard to remember. So you might want to go back and think month by month. You might even want to go back and take a look at your calendar and see what you were working on week by week. So you can get a sense of, oh, that's right. In January, I had that event that I planned for a year or whatever it is. So go back and try to reconstruct your year from the perspective of mining for the wins, for the celebrations, for the big breakthroughs that you had. The second thing you want to think about, and sometimes people get confused and they do this first, which I don't want you to do. Definitely want you to celebrate the wins first and then come back and say, what were some of the breakdowns this year? What didn't feel so good? What didn't work? What were failures, obstacles, challenges? And again, you might want to go back into your calendar and review week by week, what were you doing each week to jog your memory? So find the breakdowns, find the things that were disappointments that didn't feel good. 3, the next thing to do is from those celebrations, wins, and breakdowns, disappointments, mine for the lessons. What did you learn? What did you transform? What did you shift? What did you change? What boundaries did you implement? What were the big lessons from the year? Now, here's a hint. What I've found is that usually my biggest breakdowns lead to my biggest lessons. If you're doing the work that I'm always advocating you do, and if you've been watching my videos, then you know that I'm a big believer in diving into the disappointment and mining and going into the basement and finding those pearls, finding the gold, finding the treasure in the basement, in the yuck, in the muck. Now, before I keep going with the rest of the things to do to harvest the bounty, take a moment, please, and like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I invite you throughout the course of this video, if anything resonates with you or a question comes up, please post it in the comments below. So number 4, now that you've identified the breakdowns, the breakthroughs, mined for the lessons and the gold, I want you to ask yourself, what are the biggest opportunities that came through? What is now, from this perspective that you have, available as a possibility or a desire even for next year? So this is now we're shifting a little bit from just focusing on this year to already starting to look at, well, where's this going? Where am I taking this? So looking back at all the breakdowns, breakthroughs, lessons, and saying, what's possible? What's exciting? What do I desire to create next? And start to just write down all the things that you'd love to experience next year. Now, I'm not talking about goals. We'll get to goals. We'll get to goals in part 2 and part 3 of this series, but I'm not talking about goals. I'm talking about experiences. What do you want to experience next year? And specifically, what kind of emotions do you want to experience in your business? Do you want to experience more joy, more abundance, more alignment, more stability? What are the emotions? What are the experiences you want to have in the coming year without getting too focused in on how exactly that looks? We'll do that later, but one step at a time. Just trust my process. Now's the time to decide, what are you letting go of and what are you claiming? What is it that you're complete with? What are you no longer available for? What are the things that you're no longer going to do? So it might look like something like, I'm no longer going to commit to things that I don't actually feel excited about. Or I no longer am going to work with clients that don't align with my values. Whatever it is, what are you done with? And then from that place of what are you done with, what are you claiming? I am claiming alignment with my clients. I am claiming messaging that attracts people into me. I'm claiming mastery in sales next year. So what are some of the things that you're excited to, looking forward to, that you're claiming, even without knowing what it looks like, even without having a strategy or a plan? What are you claiming as a possibility for next year? And then finally, for this leg one of our journey together, what is your theme? I personally like to develop a yearly theme every single year, and I've helped my clients do this, and this is really powerful. What is the overarching umbrella theme for the entire year? So it could look something like stabilization, or it could be multiple words. You could say your theme is building my superstar brand, or tapping into abundance, right? So what's the theme for your year? Find a phrase, a word, or something that really jazzes you up, that really resonates with you. When you say it, you light up and you can really feel it. So find a phrase that has an emotional charge to it, and don't worry about getting it wrong. It might not be perfect. It can evolve. You might come back to this step and actually change your theme later. But for right now, just pick a theme that defines the possibilities for next year. Next up, we've got steps 7 through 12. So don't miss part 2 of how to plan your best year ever.